board replacement, open the bottom 2 screws, then insert something about 1 centimeter, and just keep going around the phone. Your main concept is to detach the LCD from the frame, the metal frame, and just keep going, and don't pull all the way, just pull a little bit, because there's some cables connected to the LCD and you don't want to break it. Open it slightly like book, don't open it all the way down, and just take out those screws. It's about 8 screws you have to remove first in order to disconnect 2 plates. The first plate's removed, now we're removing or working on the second plate. Just pay attention where you put all the screws, because that's one of the main important ways that your phone will work back the way it was. So all you have to do is remember where you take it out from. If you don't remember, take a pen and paper and stop and go ahead and write down everything and give it names that you think you'll remember to put it back. Or take a picture of the phone when you have it open, then just make a diagram. Whatever is easier for you, in other words. Now what I'm doing is just disconnecting any connection that I see. But first I started with the LCD. Whatever was part of LCD, I disconnected it. Now I'm just going to disconnect everything else that I can. Okay. On those, are all of those are front and back camera disconnect cables that I disconnected, and this. There's some screws that I didn't have the right screwdriver, so I used that instead. But now I do, so here we go. Just open that. Now we will open the top cover that covers the front, the back camera, rear camera. So if the screw falls, it's okay. Don't panic. Pay attention to what you're doing at this moment, and you'll be able to get it later. Okay, now that metal part is removed. Pay attention to this and remove that screw. I don't know what the screws are called, but there's about 3 screws that goes on the board that holds the board down. Then other screws that goes on top of it. Now we'll remove the SIM card, and from the side, I don't recommend you to use a metal plate, but I did at this moment. So now disconnect. That's it. So this is a new phone. This other phone that actually I'll be putting the board inside of this phone, because this phone, the front, the back, nothing is bad on it except the board. The board is bad on this phone, and on the other phone that I took the part out of it, on that phone, everything was bad except the board. So it's perfect combination that I'm using it. But for you, you probably don't have to do all of that. You can just probably replace a part and it might cost you less. Now you don't have to watch this part of the video, because I'm doing the same thing, taking the board out of this phone. And once I take out the board, and I'll connect the other board. I'm doing the same thing, opening this board, this phone the same way, and I'll take out the board, and I'll use the same technique to take out this motherboard, the same one as the previous one. Now remove the SIM tray on this one, and just pick up the board, and it should come out a lot easier. Now the new board, we want to put it in place. Now remove the other connections that if it's anything holding the board. Once it falls flat, those 3 screwdrivers that we previously mentioned that will hold the board, we'll go ahead and start with those. At the same time, you can start connecting the cables, because most of the work is done. And these boards, once you have it, since the cables were previously used on this, it'll be a lot easier. It'll just be clip-on. So the rear camera had misplaced. I just moved it a little bit. Now we have almost about all our cables connected. And press it. Make sure you don't want to, if it's not on top of it correctly, do not press it because you don't want to miss the board. Otherwise, it will cost a lot more and you will need certain tools like soldering tools to fix those connections. The camera thing plate, it inserts, slides through to the right and closes. Sometime it'll take a little bit longer to connect certain screws, but it's okay. Take your time. You have about 10-20 minutes and you don't want to make a mistake. The main thing is wherever you take something from, put it back in the same place. Easy as that. Some of the things you're watching, it's like, I want you to understand the summary. Basically, whatever you take out, put it in the best place possible. So for you, it'll be easier to reach and you can grab it and that's it. You can fast forward if you know most of the rest of it. You don't have to watch the rest of the video if you knew how to remove the board and put it back the same way. Now put the SIM card. Let's connect the good LCD. Now put the plate that holds the LCD cables. And also the battery plate with 2 screws, which holds the battery connection. And that's about it. I think we're done. Now we'll go ahead and close it and turn it on. Let's see if it turns on. Perfect. We're good to go. But the other thing I should have done was, beside the board, was also to change the LCD front camera flex cable, because that's somehow I think connected to the FaceTime. Since I just switched the board, it shows the FaceTime is incorrect. Since iPhone doesn't want you to switch parts, it showed me an error that the FaceTime and the battery, it's wrong. It might not be genuine, even though it's from another iPhone. So it'll say that. Be careful and just know. Thank you, and please subscribe, and you guys have a good one. Bye.